In this video, we're talking about a common speed measurement technique the police like to use known as pacing. This is really what it sounds like. The police will identify an individual driving a car and they will believe that person is speeding. Then they will get their vehicle, the police vehicle, up to that person's same speed. They'll say that they matched it. They look down at their speedometer and they claim they know how fast that other individual was going based upon what their car reads. Looks something like this. Let's say that the yellow car is the person who is suspected of speeding. We'll say that the black car is the police officer. What will happen will be an officer will be seeing an individual that they believe to be speeding. They will come up behind that vehicle. They'll keep their vehicle equidistant from the suspected violator, and they will be following that person over a certain period of time. As long as this distance is not changing, and as long as this has been established for a certain period of time, the officer will look down at his speedometer on his dashboard and claim that they know how fast this person was going because they were going the same speed. Nothing is changing here. And so in their police report, in their documentation, in their testimony, they will claim it looks something as smooth and as simple as this. In reality, in most cases that we investigate, that's just not how it works. What more often happens is an officer will be in a different lane, an officer will be far away, an officer will be on the side of the road, an officer will be in front of the vehicle, and what will happen is that this person will catch that officer's eye. That officer will come up upon them quickly. This person will notice that, and so we have kind of an acceleration from the officer and we have a deceleration from the suspected violator. And so weird things are happening. People are accelerating, people are decelerating, people are changing lanes. An officer is looking over their shoulder, his or her shoulder, as this person is approaching. This person slows down. And so there's a lot of moving parts. There's other traffic on the roadway. And so it doesn't ever get to a situation where the officer is able to establish a firm pace. They're not able to establish something that looks like this. In reality, it's much more kind of jerky and things are happening. People are accelerating and slowing down. We also see times where multiple people are changing lanes. We see areas where people are turning corners, and so an officer may lose line of sight. So this person may be accelerating or decelerating. People may be going up hills and down hills. And the reality is that most roadways and most freeways and most areas where officers are doing these types of things just aren't as simple and cut and dry as this. Now, although the officer will say that it was very simple and that they believe in the accuracy of their pace and that they know for a fact and blah, 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 what we do is we go through and we get dash cam footage and body cam footage and things like GPS data and what's called AVL data, automatic vehicle location data, and we are able to recreate the reality of what happened here. So we're able to say, although an officer says that they established a pace, it lasted 3 seconds, they're able to take a look at their speedometer and verify that this person was going 100 miles an hour, reality is that's not what happened. We often find that when we get that data, the officer's recollection or what they put in their police report doesn't match the reality of what the numbers show. So we can take that data, we can plot it in Google Maps. There's a lot of software that we can use to actually plot what actually happened here. The other thing that we need to take a look at and consider in many of these situations is this officer's speedometer properly calibrated? When was it calibrated? Is that document admissible? Can it be authenticated and can it be used against this driver? So if this officer said, yes, my vehicle and pace was done properly, and we can show that, and this officer said, well, I know it was going 100, I know he was going 100, and I want to get that admitted into court. If the officer says he was going 100, that may be all well and good, but if this speedometer in this officer's vehicle is not accurate, if it's not properly calibrated, if the government or the prosecutor cannot get that document admissible and admitted into court to be used against this individual, whatever the officer read is fine, but it may not be accurate. It may not be something that can come into court in a criminal case, which is very different than a civil case. I have other videos out there where we're talking about the different standards of what the government needs to prove, and we have to remember that it's beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the very highest threshold that the government must meet. So just an officer kind of winging it and saying that all of this happened according to proper protocol and proper procedure, and that everything was in working order, and all of the paperwork that the government needs to bring in and get admitted over the defense attorney's objection, all of that needs to be in order to meet that high burden. So it's important to understand how that works. If you've been charged with a criminal traffic violation or stopped for a DUI or stopped and investigated for some other offense, and the basis for that traffic stop was PACE, there can be many problems with it, but you have to start diving into it. Officers, it's part of their job. They need to justify their convictions. They need to justify their charges, and they are going to say that they did it properly. But the reality is, when you start diving into what actually happened, you'll find that the facts don't match the officer's narrative. Reality is, in fact, different. So if you've been charged with a violation like that, and PACE is something that you want to dive into a little bit, give our office a call. We'll walk you through this. We'll walk you through exactly how we would approach it in your particular case, and we can put together a plan on how to address everything entirely to make sure that you're not being charged, you're not being convicted with a crime, and have to have something that follows you around for the rest of your life. Thanks for watching.